Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ascension and Astrology. My name is Janet Hickox. I'm an astrologer and a human design consultant, and I play with the gene keys. I just love astrology. And sitting to my left is the beautiful Kornelia.
On something that they can thrive in and build their new blueprints in an area where they can thrive in abundance and prosperity.
We like that. We really like that. So welcome, everybody. If this is your first time, welcome if you guys are here and you're listening to my morning show. Welcome if you are used to seeing Kornelia on several of her radio shows. I guess they're radio, but they're actually Facebook Lives too, right?
Yeah, they're radio, Facebook Lives, podcasts.
There you go. Tell us about those.
The Millionaire Imprint for Women is every Friday at 1 o'clock. Then we have Living Heaven on Earth is every Friday at 12 noon, and this is Pacific time. So, and every Friday at 11:30, I do Facebook Lives, and I talk about whatever is up in the collective field. That, like last week, I did a talk about overwhelm because I was really feeling like all the women that I'd come in contact with that week, everybody, there was just a lot of overwhelm. I just felt like all the women were saying, had the same thing, you know, they were feeling like really overwhelmed by the time 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening came along. They were just exhausted and really feeling overwhelmed by, all the things that they needed to do. And then I reminded, when I did the Facebook Live, I talked about how Jupiter, right, is the largest planet in the solar system. And right now we are in an expansive phase, which of course could make anybody feel overwhelmed. Wouldn't you say?
I think so, because, with Jupiter sitting in the sign of Sagittarius, it's all about expanding and growth and evolving, right? So I always tell people with Jupiter, it's a benefic planet. So we can always expect good things, but he often lays down that gauntlet first, right? There's that challenge to rise to the occasion, whatever that may be. So if Jupiter is appearing in your money sector, then there's going to be a challenge. And in order to grow, you're going to have to meet the challenge. If it's in your relationship, same thing. No matter where it is, health, etc. Because Jupiter actually has the ability to magnify anything, the good or the bad. It's not, he's not specific in just only magnifying the good.
Right.
It's that he's definitely neutral in that and just manages to expand anything that he touches. And right now he happens to be in the sign that represents Lady Luck and in a sign that is seeing the big picture. So
yeah, and that's the thing, releasing the overwhelm is the number one thing. Mm-hmm. Release the overwhelm and let it go in the moment whenever you feel overwhelmed. And remember that the big picture is that's what it's all about, and that you're expanding. And we, as our multidimensional selves, right? Mm-hmm. We are so capable and so able to, manage so much and handle so much and do so many things. It's just that how to balance it all. But if we have a feeling that's attached to overwhelm, then the number one thing is to, make the choice in the moment to release the overwhelm. I'm releasing overwhelm. I'm letting this go. And then what are you, making the list and mm-hmm. what are the projects that you're passionate about and what do you want to energize? So, but keeping all these things in mind, with, Jupiter. But that's even though, I'm not an astrologer, but certainly
she knew her stuff.
Certainly I was talking, Jupiter was talking to me and going, hey, I'm the one that is making people feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, I think it's because literally there is so much possible right now, right? I really love that saying. I think it comes from Access Consciousness. What more is possible? What
else is possible?
Yeah, what else is possible, and how does it get any better than this?
Yeah.
And when we're working from that, then lots of opportunities start flowing to you, and lots of things start popping up in your field. I think our tendency, this is why I love human design astrology, because it really gives you the tools to be able to decide what it is that you're actually going to focus your energy on, so you're not tempted to run off in 10 different directions. Unless you're a manifesting generator, you can do that. But for most of us, we're not meant to do that. And yet, have you ever had just one opportunity show up at a time?
No, and you better count on that. There's like countless of opportunities right now that are at the gate, because after releasing so much of the old human out of our physical bodies and retiring the victim and retiring the addict and retiring the wounded, loving the wounded child free, right?
Yep.
We're now at a place where it's like we're ready to, embrace more of the higher level, the higher self being in charge. And there's so many opportunities that are coming along that we have to be discerning to go, which ones are really in resonance and with you, and which ones are, in alignment with your,
what is right for me, what is not right for me. That's the question.
Yeah.
And you know what else I just thought of as you were saying that is that it's not only Jupiter. Jupiter is putting the pressure on us to be wise about what we're going to choose, right? The opportunities or the people that we're going to be involved with, the projects, etc. The culprit is really Mars. And Mars is dancing with us. Last week, Mars was in a square to Pluto. So we were being tasked with transforming our lives, transforming it, taking action, right? Taking action on literally moving through that dark and coming out into the light. And this weekend, we have Mars now squaring the nodal axis.
Which is the nodal axis? Is that the nodes?
That's the north node on one side and the south node on the other. They make up a 180-degree axis, right? They're a line. And Mars would be smack dab in the middle.
So it's our karmic past and our destiny?
Destiny and karmic, yep.
Okay.
And so that tugs us, right? That's almost a tug in two different directions. And I'll tell you, the younger that you are and listening, the more likely it is that you're going to stay a little bit oriented to the past. The South Node, if you think about the South Node as the gifts and talents and experiences that you brought with you here into this existence, and you're meant to use them like a cup spilling over out into life in a new way. And that's your destiny, your North Node, right?
I see. Mm-hmm.
So Mars now squaring the Capricorn and Cancer node. On one hand, Cancer wants nurturing, home, security, foundation, it's all that. On the other hand, Capricorn says, claim your authority, stand up on your own 2 feet, be your authentic self, right? That's, and do it with a foundation. Don't do it just willy-nilly. You got to start from the bottom.
And that means, even though you haven't talked about Pluto, but that means not giving your power away to any outside force that triggers you. And when you get triggered by an outside force, which now Mars then will activate simply because Mars is the god of war, the warrior, and right? Action. So it's either going to be inspired action, or there's going to be anger or a reaction coming to the surface, right? And which is another opportunity then for us to release everything that's no longer serving us when you get triggered and you feel that inner bullet going off, to then alchemize that energy.
Good word.
Right?
Good word.
Alchemize that energy and then use it going, I'm releasing this and I'm letting this go. Terry Hickox.
My husband, aren't you supposed to be working?
Oh.
He can listen. He can put his phone out there and listen to us. That's the beauty of having such high technology that we have these days, right?
That's wonderful. Yeah. Hi, Terry. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, let's just say hi to everybody. Hello to Mimi, and Mimi saying she's a manifesting generator, Jupiter in the 8th, and borderline overwhelming. Yes, picking and choosing when I would love to do it all. Tom, luck be a lady tonight. La la la.
I am Jupiter.
Mimi, that we already talked to Mimi. Good morning. Morning. You can tell I'm used to being here in the morning. But it's not morning anymore. It's 4 p.m. my time, our time. Good afternoon, Vanita. It is good to see you. Debbie Hedden, thank you for joining us. Somebody else just popped up. Gail, good to see you, Gail. Love it. Such great advice. Yes, absolutely. Now here's the prep, right? The reason I even wanted to bring that up, which I didn't know I wanted to bring up.
No, this was all totally organic.
We're totally off plan at the moment.
This was totally organic because we were, what got it? What started it?
No.
Jupiter.
Damn him.
Jupiter. Because as soon as I brought up Jupiter, boom, you went into your zone of genius and you started in your teacher, and right away, boom.
Yep. Let me get my pen so I can teach.
Yeah. Because I know it because you were going to talk about Chiron.
Chiron.
But we'll get to it.
We'll get to Chiron. Actually, it's all related, right? Because Chiron, what I was going to talk about is the fact that planet is moving into Aries. Well, Mars rules Aries. So there is, and Mars is in a sign he rules. He's still in Aries. So it's interesting stuff that we are working on right now. And that need to take action is what's really at the source of trouble, but also at the source for our being able to soar and fly right now.
I think that, and tell me what you think about that, but I think that if the action, if there's any sort of trigger where there's energy of anger or feeling stuck or feeling resentment or feeling like it's not working out for you or whatever, it's the perfect opportunity to release that energy through the square. So it may happen by an event or a relationship or something that's a
chance comment someone makes.
Right. And all of a sudden you become triggered, and it's like, this is giving you the perfect opportunity to release that energy now once and for all. And how many times do we use the word once and for all, right? But anyway, this is ascension. It's part of it. It's like we're being initiated continuously to be these amazing avatar adepts that we really are in mastery.
Yeah.
And which is what we're here to do, is to inhabit the earth. And that's why.
And to walk our talk.
Walk our talk.
Right.
I love that.
I'm going to share a story. This is what happened to me yesterday.
Okay.
I haven't even told you about this. I haven't even told my husband. So if he's watching, he's going to hear this story. So we have until the 6th of the month to pay our rent. And yesterday was the 6th. Yesterday was payday. So my intention was to write the check yesterday, give that to our landlord, who I adore, right? They're just lovely people. Only what I get from her yesterday is a text in the morning, first thing. I just wanted to remind you that today is the 6th and your rent is due. And I literally overreacted.
I mean,
I want to say a bunch of string of curse words here, because I was like, am I a child that you have to remind me that today's the 6th and my rent is due? No. And I was mad. And so what did I do?
Oh, God. What did you do?
I sent her a text back that said, I don't need reminding, Mandy. Thank you very much. And I would appreciate it if you treated me as an adult. Right? It wasn't very nice.
So if you would have told me, I would have said to you, if you would have said, can you believe what just happened? My landlady just called me and said blah, blah, blah. And then I would have said, Janet, what is that bringing up for you? And what is that bringing up for you? And then you would say to me, I felt like she was treating me like a child. I feel like, I
felt demeaned.
Okay,
I felt like I was condescended to.
Okay, what else?
And there was a part of me that resonated with what she was saying, because
there were times where
where rent was late because there was issues. Not since I've lived here, but certainly issues, right?
Right, yeah.
And it just triggered everything. So the past is coming up. That's the south node.
Okay,
Mars
so
squaring that south node.
Mars. So now that event that took place was just the text alone triggered this, and so that you can totally release the wounded inner child that felt demeaned and disrespected and treated like disrespected.
Disrespected,
like you don't know.
I'm a 57-year-old woman. I don't need your 29-year-old ass calling me and telling me I need to pay my rent.
Right.
I mean, there was that.
Right. So, and then of course, it would be just great if you were just to alchemize that energy. And then later on, when you're not charged, to give her the rent, and then look her in the eye and say, like you just did. I don't need her to.
I did not look her in the eye, but I will tell you what I did, and this is the mark of what it is that we're moving toward. Right. Is that I realized, and what I wrote back to her wasn't necessarily ugly. It was, and
it wasn't charged, but it was just
it was charged on my end.
Was it?
Like I felt the charge, but I wrote opposite of the charge. I mean, I just said, I don't need reminding. Thank you very much. And she could take that however she wanted to. That isn't my job, right? My job, though, later was to go, wow, did I get triggered?
That's good.
Right. And I was looking at that and I was going, and I was mad. And she's trying to get back, draw me back in, right? She's trying to get me to, she's like, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings or whatever, but I wasn't getting drawn back in because I wasn't done processing it yet myself. And the processing for me took the face of, okay, what does this mean? I would ask myself, what does this remind you of?
Yeah.
Right. What does this remind you of?
Yeah.
Well, and then where I was feeling small.
Right.
There was that. I don't know where that came
Like
from.
your hand was being slapped.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Like being
hand...
a little kid and boom, it's the 6th and you haven't even said yet you're going to pay the rent today.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so much.
Yeah. And think about it. And then if we're comparing this, again, to how absolutely amazing and how expansive and how glorious you are and how huge and expansive Jupiter is. And then the small self right now is really, really being triggered by Mars.
Yes.
Right.
Mars.
So that this energy can be released and let go of, so that if this ever happened again, that trigger wouldn't be there, because we want to get to a place of divine neutrality, meaning that it was years back when I heard, when we first started processing, emotional processing, but when I heard David Wilcox, this was back in 2010 or whatever.
Wow.
He said that in the coming days, you have to be able to walk through a war field and not be affected by it. And I was thinking, oh my God, not be affected walking through a war field, but that's really what it is. We have to act like the universal Christ within us is fully present. And every experience like that is giving us the opportunity to release that energy, let that go, and then come from a place of being neutral, because, that is a really important piece.
What else just occurred to me with that whole idea is that Chiron is right now sitting at the 29th degree of Pisces.
Okay.
Right. And the 29th degree is always a karmic degree. So I would expect right now for every one of you even to be triggered in some way with some old wound. Why? Because the energy of Chiron in Pisces was about victim energy.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And at a 29th degree, then you're going to be reliving those places. It's almost like a little test, a little pinprick. Let's see. Are you still sensitive to that one?
Exactly.
Are you still going to react when someone, sends you a text reminder to pay your bill? Or, whatever that is, might be in your relationships. It could be, in your job, the people you work with.
Yeah.
Right. So I would expect those kinds of triggers. And then that leads me to the whole concept of what today was about. Self-realization.
Oh, yeah.
Right. That was our key word today, was self-realization. And my part was going to be about Chiron. So maybe you could just set the stage a little bit for what self-realization means. And then I'm going to bring in the Chiron piece. Why is that right now that this is so important to us?
So I didn't Google self-realization at all to look at and see.
We didn't have time to.
I didn't. But a person that is a self-realized being realizes the self and realizes and knows who they are. A self-realized being knows that they have never been separate from their creator, that there is no separation, and that they're complete at oneness with the universal Christ within, and with the source consciousness of all that is, right? So a self-realized being realizes themselves in the moment. It doesn't matter when it is, but anyone can realize themselves in the moment to know that I am at one with my creator. I am at one, and that there is no separation. It's only when we're unconscious still and we're not conscious when we are reacting.
Which we all do.
Right? When we're reacting, and when we're not realizing the self, when we are triggered by the wound, and we're still, in that healing state. And it's okay, because so many of us are all, we're all walking each other home. We're all going to the same place. It's just that we're doing that once all of the wounds have really been cleared, and we're able to fully walk in that self-realization and offer loving kindness, no
To
matter
ourselves.
to ourselves, and no matter what happens, really, and offer unconditional love no matter what happens. That's the practice. And that's what we're all being initiated by in this earth school.
And it feels so real.
It does. It's like,
remember Diane Light, she used to say, this seems so real. It
Yeah.
feels so real. Like, I'm really being triggered or stabbed or brought to task as a person, like I failed something. That's another piece of all of this is failure. And I'm just kind of noticing here that Gail, she said she thought this was like her childlike karma, but she's having those same triggers for this week. So I love that. Thank you for validating that, Gail, because it means we're on the right track, that it is something that's, playing out for all of us in whatever way it is that we would be triggered.
Yeah, and
So,
the bottom line is that we talked about so much this afternoon. We were working on creating our YouTube channel and different things like that, and talking about upcoming shows that we want to do and everything. We were talking about self-realization, and it's all about Aries, right?
yes, the self, because Chiron is ready to move into Aries. Kind of taste tested it, back in the summer, and then it moved back into Pisces. Like we weren't quite done with the victim energy, so it was reminding us, that we are the healers of we're never a victim, that we are the ones that can heal that wound. And now it moves off into Aries for the next 7 years, and the lessons change. Like almost any word that you could put the word self in front of: self-realization, self-actualization, self-love, self-respect, all those.
Yeah, and it has to be that you have to put yourself first, always. That's why it's like the self-love piece had to like really take the reins. It had to fully be embodied, and we had to practice loving ourselves first, instead of putting the energy on the neighbor, right? Yeah. Because we used to give, I'm one of those people, that always put everybody first before me, so, and we had to really put ourselves into the equation and make ourselves the priority. And that was radical self-love. And a lot of times when there was nobody else present, that there was nobody else there, it was hard to only focus on you. It's hard to only fight for you. It's hard to, offer you that loving self-respect, that loving kindness, that honoring and that sacredness of who we are. Yeah. But a self-realized being, and this is the level of embodiment that we're in right now, is, walking in the higher self, and realizing that the shadow is also present. So walking in the higher self, the shadow is present, and loving the shadow, because the God is in the shadow. Source is in the shadow. In the light. It is. And so it's like, and I always say the gold is in the shadow. That's actually when people want to hide the shadow or they feel bad about the shadow, that's where you really want to bring your love. You really want to bring your love into the shadow, you know? And so this self-realized initiation path that we're in right now, this embodiment 2019, is a really important time. Yeah. Is we have to really walk our talk. We have to be responsible for how we react. And if we find ourselves that we kind of fall off the wagon, we first of all forgive ourselves. Practice the Ho'oponopono.
I did that. I did that too. I didn't do that until I was in bed at 6 o'clock or so this morning. And I went, okay, so forgive yourself. And what I had to forgive myself for was, one, I felt like no matter what I said to her, I had sent that wave of energy out toward her, of upset, of anger. And two, forgiving myself for having done that, and for, forgiving her for, triggering me in that way. I mean, even though I was making myself responsible for it. So here's the thought. we want to hear what you guys are being triggered by right now.
Yeah, we do want to hear.
Gail, we know that you're having some of the same issues, but I'm sure, what is it in your lives right now that is triggering you? And this becomes really important because next week there's a very highly combustible, for lack of a better word, aspect going on between Mars and Uranus. They are coming together in a conjunction, right? That'll be the first time in several years that that's happened for us. And because they'll be at a degree that's karmic, 29.
Really?
Right? Karmic degree.
Wow.
What does that mean, right? What does that mean? Anytime we're dealing with Uranus, it surprises and shocks, right? Something good. It could be something really good. It could be something really wonderful. It can also be something that, makes you go, what? It can be something that awakens you deep from a slumber that you've been in. But that happens on Tuesday, the 12th. So it's between the 12th and the 13th, Mars will be in conjunction with Uranus. And that's a fiery combination. That's why I say combust, right? It's like Mars is lighting the fire and Uranus is blowing it up.
Yeah, so that means that, because you said it a little bit ago, you felt bad that you were putting your anger out on that person. And that's Mars. That's Mars. So next week, you said, when is that? On Tuesday?
Tuesday.
So on Tuesday, Mars, if you're triggered by anything, anger, right?
Upset, frustration.
And then getting with electricity, Uranus, electrical combustion, right?
Yes.
So this is going to be, be an interesting time. So all this time with the eclipses, everything, I mean, over the years and months, we've been practicing how to not react and to continue on with creating some of the same, walking around in the circle and keeping some of the same relationships going that we're responsible for, right?
Yeah. But also walking your talk through them. I mean, I was having a chat with, one of my sisters, how I found 13 new siblings over the last
That's amazing.
couple of years, or last year. So this is one of my younger siblings. And she was actually having a reading yesterday. Her birthday's next week. And I don't even know what I was going to say now.
No, you were talking about your sister, and it had something to do with
reaction.
Yeah, and she had a reading yesterday.
Oh, yeah, because in her solar return chart, Mars and Uranus are still very tight together, even though her birthday's 2 days later, right, the 15th. And I was like, well, she starts a new job on Monday. And I went, oh, man, that's like surprise. I hate this job, or surprise, these people suck, or surprise, I love this place. And so I was trying to tell her about not getting into reaction, right? No matter what it is that shows up out there on the screen, to avoid getting into, sucked into the emotional or the reactionary energies, because, that's what Mars does. It wants action, it wants reaction, and
it wants war, and that's the old Mars. That's the old Mars, not the new Mars. The new Mars, I think I heard this somewhere, and I like this. The new Mars, the action, is the divine masculine, and also Mercury is the divine masculine. The speaking, communicating, and I like that. So the new Mars is the divine masculine in action, right action, taking right action, and then Mercury, right speech, right? That's the new masculine. So, and we're all really needing to be cautious with our actions and our words, because they have so much power, because we're so evolved right now.
Or it's this close, like we're just this close.
Yeah.
And yet we still get caught up. I mean, even those of us who know better, we get caught up in some of the crap. So let's see what people are saying here. So Tom, I want to go back to Tom, said, extreme financial stress with miscommunications, systemic abuse from bureau crazies. I think he means bureaucracies, but I love the way he plays with words. Lots of work to stay calm, repeating over the last few years, but really coming on the last few months, like it's the last gasp. Okay, Tom, here's what you need to let go of. And by the way, Tom, I don't think you mind if I share this with you or with the listeners. the new moon was exactly on top of his natal moon. So this is a banner new beginning for him. This wasn't just your laissez-faire sort of, new moon in Cancer, new moon in Aquarius. This was new moon with your own new moon. So for him, it was very powerful. Somebody else, Gail, I'm glad I'm awakened to this beautiful information that I no longer have anger. But what are these lessons I needed for my further love for myself? Perfect. It's reeling it in, right? Making it personal to you. Lynn, hi, Lynn. I noticed I was triggered by a small event. A radio host posted about an upcoming live show with a person I love. So excited, set the alarm, and when I was listening, it was a replay from 2012. I was wondering why I was so triggered by what seemed like a deception.
Wow. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
it's like taking old content and putting it back out there and saying it's something new. Like, yeah, but it seems deceptive.
Yeah, and but I would be more curious to, again, if I was to ask you, Lynn, what are the feelings that it brought up for you? Because that's where it is. That's the emotional suppression that was stored in the physical body, and that this event is helping you release. So what feelings did it bring up for you? Did you feel, like betrayed, or like you put so much time and energy into making yourself available to watch this, to see this thing, and then all of a sudden it's a replay from something that was played long ago, and maybe you invested so much love and consciousness into these people, and now this is what this is what it showed. You felt disappointment. So whatever the feelings, this is always the secret, is whatever the feelings is, identify the feelings. I usually, the way I do it is I write out the feelings on a piece of paper. I feel, which means now my divinity and my shadow are fully present in my self-realization, and looking at all of these feelings that I'm now releasing and I'm letting go. I feel. And I know it sucks, and it's not pretty, and it's not easy to look at, but I feel. And then as I'm doing that, acknowledging these feelings, now I'm releasing these feelings from the old, because I know that this event is gifting me by releasing this emotional suppression that I had stored in my physical body that was brought on by this event. How else was I going to get rid of it in this body? How else was it going to come out? I needed that event to help me. It's the way it works. It really is the way it works.
It's very informative.
And it's the way that we become neutral. So the more that you can empty your vessel, the more that you can release and let go. I feel. And then, well, how do you want to feel? I want to feel this. I want to feel, take yourself right away then back. And I want to feel honored. I want to feel loved. I want to feel respected. All the things that you want. And that's your new blueprint. That's your new footprint. That's your new.
That's your new.
That's your new.
That's awesome. Perfect. So Debbie is a Gemini like me, and she is also a reflector. She's like in the less than 1% of the population that has none of the energy centers in her human design defined. So she's very open, right? So she says, as a Gemini, reflector, and empath, I'm struggling to figure out who I am. I'm working very hard on control right now. Though I have dabbled for years not really knowing all of this, it is amazing to me how clueless I have been. Maybe you can explain that a little bit more, because I would bet there are other people that have dabbled all their lives, or who have, felt like they didn't know who they really were, and that something in your experience might help them. Vanita, I have been triggered by being cut out of a group. An example, someone I thought was a friend blocked me from Facebook for reasons unknown to me, but communicating with close friends of mine, feeling cut out.
Yeah, and that was hard, Vanita. That was hard. It's hard when people that you love all of a sudden just drop you. It happened to me also. I know that how hard that is. And because in the core wound, of trust and betrayal, the core wound, the opposite of betrayal is trust. Once you have completely removed the energy of betrayal and it's completely out of your field, it doesn't exist in your environment anymore, and you're only operating from trust, then when something like this happens, you don't necessarily feel betrayed anymore, but it's offering you the opportunity to practice unconditional love, to know that whatever is happening is really all divine and perfect. And that is also, that's also another thing that we have to come to acceptance with, is that no matter what is occurring, bring your acceptance to it. Do your grieving and your processing, and you're crying about how terrible that is that you were cut out, you know, how you felt that this made you feel not loved. And then I ask you that, will you release those feelings, and then will you bring your love into that space? I love you. I'm not going to cut you out. I'm going to cut you in. I'm going to bring you in, and I'm going to put love in that space. And grieve the being cut out from the group. You know, it's a hard thing, but there's a lot of change. And so maybe for whatever reason, we won't know, and we don't know.
You know, I want to bring something up because, and Benita, if I am treading in thin ice, please tell me. But this is a pattern in your life of being cut out, right? Your family has even, you know, orchestrated that against you. So how would you know? Let's break that down for her, because that makes me. I mean, I feel angry for you.
Yeah.
So, but when you notice it as a pattern, Kornelia, what do you do about that? Because that is a pattern I've seen in your life, Anita. I bet you recognize it too. Maybe not the exact same thing, but being cut out from people's lives.
If it is a pattern, then it's a karmic pattern.
And what does she do with that?
If it is a pattern, but here's the thing: it's only going to continue on showing up if it really hasn't fully all been released. And that's what I mean. So have you been really, and like right now is the perfect time, Benita, to completely squash this pattern. The way I like to squash patterns is I'm squashing this pattern, and I have like an imaginary box. And this pattern, I'm realizing, the self is realizing that I have set this up to where I'm being cut out, and I don't want this storyline anymore, and I don't want this situation anymore, and I'm not signing up for this anymore. I don't resonate with that. This pattern is done. I am done. And then you take the imaginary box and you squash it down, and it's collapsed. And it's collapsed. That's one way to do it. There's many other creative ways to squash a pattern, but I like to have something that I can actually, you know, work with and do. So once you fully release the pattern of being cut out, there is no way that you're going to have an experience like that where you're going to be cut out again, because you're rewriting the story of your life. And then all of a sudden now you're going to find the right people that are going to pull you in and that want you there. Maybe, just maybe, this was the one and final draw right now with these recent eclipses that took place and everything that's come to the surface,
everything that's going on.
And now you are really beginning to start a new life, and you're going to find a new family, and you're going to find new groups and new people that absolutely love you because you love you, and absolutely value you and absolutely honor you because you love you and you value you honor you. So squash that pattern right out of your life. Is that good enough?
Yeah. But then, you know, what do you fill that void with?
With love.
With inclusivity.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you want to take that old out and you want to bring the love in. And the best thing that I think that you can put in again is, you know, write the word, I want to feel included. What does it feel like when you feel included? Think about this. Can you imagine you as a universal Christ being not being included? I know what that feels like. I know that is hurtful. And think about the time when our Christ, who carried the suffering for humanity, wasn't included. So I think we're also clearing some of those patterns and things that are up on the surface, depending on where your level of clearing right now is, or the level of consciousness, or where you're looking. But as a greater whole, this is what we're dealing with as a collective. So it's
huge.
It's huge. I mean, and again, we are masters, and we are moving into higher higher way of higher path, living from
taking the high road.
Taking the high road, and also we're choosing the high road. So the best thing I can say is love yourself so much right now. Put love, inclusivity there. Hug yourself, get with a friend, love as much, put as much love that you can in that spot. And then carry on.
I noticed Tom is also resonating with that same thing. A few friends cut him out last year. He's had issues with his adult children who haven't wanted to have a relationship with him for 3 years now.
Oh.
So that's a pattern, that we're seeing then in the collective. I mean, we're just a small sampling of people here.
Yeah.
And, that's very prevalent.
Yeah.
Here.
So all of us, if it's a collective pattern that we're experiencing, it's really giving us the opportunity now to walk our talk in inclusivity, walk our talk in unconditional love, walk our talk. And gosh, I know how hard that is to not have your adult children want to talk to you. I coached many people that have had different situations like that with, the karmic relationships of the past, and how hard that is for you. And I am sorry that they are losing out on not having a relationship with you, and that, they made a mistake. That's the bottom line. The main thing is that you find yourself in new circles with new chosen families, and know for some reason or another, there is a divine plan in that. And I know, I can't stand it when New Age people talk about, oh, it's all divine and perfect. When you're like in the middle of the pain and the grief and the suffering, telling me it's all divine and perfect. It's like, Wait. So, but there is a greater plan to it. And so what if the greater plan is to really allow yourself to release the old sadness that's still within your being, and let go, because there's nothing else that would have that much power, that much pull to get it out, to get it done.
And you just know, I mean, the clue that it's important is the emotional reaction you have to it. Like I knew yesterday, my reaction, if there was no charge on any of that, I wouldn't have had a reaction. The same thing for you, Vanita. You would have been, well, okay, I guess that's, we're done. But there's something there, right? And our emotions are the barometer that tells us where we have reactions on, or where we have energy stored that isn't healed, and where we have raw places. And that is the sole purpose of having an experience like that. It isn't to make you bad or wrong or hurt you. It is to call awareness to you on where it is that you're still not clear with yourself. I would ask myself the question, where am I cutting myself out?
That's good. That's really good.
Right. That would be just off the top of my head. Where am I cutting myself out? What am I cutting myself off from?
Yeah. And anything that you can do to process and alchemize that energy in the moment, so that you can clear your spiritual field, so that you can have a good feeling body, that you can feel good, but realize that we're all in grief. Literally. I mean, it's like I was watching a talk with Marianne Williamson the other day, which I am loving that she's running for president.
Me too.
And I actually volunteered.
Oh, I love it. I should volunteer.
So guess what I volunteered for? They had so many things.
Emotional healing?
No, they had so many things. No, but I do want to say something about that. They had so many things on there that said that you can pick, like graphic design, organizing, different things. And they were looking for a fundraiser.
Oh, you'd be perfect.
Well, guess what? I'm going to get behind that cause. And I said, I want to help Marianne Williamson raise millions of dollars. And that just works perfect for my millionaire friend for women.
No kidding.
So it just works perfect.
There are millions of people in the Keeper Garden.
So that's what it is. But let me get back to what we were talking about before I got sidetracked about Marianne. Do you remember what it was?
Marianne. You loved what she said in a show yesterday, or that you were watching.
Yeah, Marianne said that we are all grieving on this planet, and that you can't really totally be in 100% bliss when you know that there's people around the world that are suffering because they're your brothers and your sisters. So we have to be able to be with our grief and our sadness and still show up in our divine light, and still show up in our grace, and still put our best foot forward, and still come out in our self-realization, self-actualization. That is the right action. That's the hero. That's the right Mars. That's the heroic Mars.
Yeah.
We have to do that. So, you know, as much as you can nurture yourself and cradle yourself and love yourself, like one of the things that I love is I love doing the Ho'oponopono in just sitting down and doing the practice and offering that love to both of us. So, you know, I'm sorry, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry for your suffering. I'm sorry for my suffering. And I'm sorry for the part that I played in this. I'm sorry. I'm deeply sorry about that. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for the joy, for the lessons, for the learning.
For showing me what I needed to know.
For showing me. Please forgive me again for any harm that I may have caused you. Please forgive me as I forgive myself. I love you. I deeply, deeply love you. And if we can bring that love into the process of the emotion in grief, when you're doing the cutout, when you're, you know, when you're going through the loss or the grieving of your children not speaking to you or whatever it is, when we can do that, when we're deeply emotionally upset, that's what our parents, our mother God and our father God would do with us. Right? Would want to do with us is hold us, nurture us, love us. And we have to be our own inner parents. So that's the action we have to take. That's the action we have to take. If you want a free technique, I have an emotional processing technique on my website, CorneliaStephanie.com. There's a little box on the bottom that says, are you new to Cornelia's work? And there's all kinds of practices there, you guys. There's the anger management technique. There is the emotional processing technique, and there's, I think, a fear processing technique. So just different things, different tools that I've created over the years in my Ascension timeline with tools and practices that I've used for myself and for clients so that I can bring myself into a better feeling state, right?
Perfect, perfect. So Vanita says, good questions. Gail, some of my family have cut me out. So much great advice here. Oh God, why do we do that to one another?
Yeah.
I got to think about, do I cut anybody out? Now I'm going to be. Oh, okay. So then also Lynn says she's often thought we are clearing for the collective as well as for ourselves. We talk about that all the time.
We do. We absolutely do. We're clearing for the collective, because if you've already gotten to the point too where you've released so much, you're also clearing for the whole, because we're all one.
Yep.
We're all mirrors of each other. We all, we get to a point where it's when we can realize that, no matter loving our enemy, loving the person that cut us out, bringing unconditional love to that person, bringing unconditional love to any of the events and experiences, because isn't that what Yahshua, Jesus, did? Didn't he walk that walk to where he showed us that no matter what was going on, that he was bringing unconditional love? Well, that is the universal Christ within all of us that we have to now, the second coming is here and we are it. So we have to do it. We have to be the ones. We have to be the ones that we've been waiting for, right? We have to be the ones. And it's not easy to do, but that is how we are moving into mastery. And I want to call like planet Earth like a mystery school. It's like a mystery school. It's like a mystery school of initiations, of one initiation after another. Right?
All day long, some days, right? Lynn says, also, we might ask, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? That's a great one.
It's an awesome one. Tom, so much good advice.
Yeah, Tom was saying cutting people out, AKA shunning. And, I didn't have a personal experience with that. Yes, I did. It actually is what triggered my Chiron wound when I was about 16. Because my little sister, decided that she was going to be a different religion than me. And she and I we'd grown up our own choice to be Lutheran. And we were baptized, etc. Right? We loved it. Just more the social atmosphere and everything. Hi, Susan. And then my little sister decided not to be a Lutheran anymore, but she went one step further. There's no point in you and I having a relationship. Why? Because you weren't baptized right.
Oh, yeah.
I went, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, talk about cutting out. At that moment in time, Vanita and Tom, I felt so cut out of her life. She cut out my mom, my mother, our mother. We shared the same mother. We shared the same mother and father. She's my only full-blooded sister. And she says that to me, and I'm 16. Well, what do you think I did? Well, I got mad at religion. I got mad at God.
Yeah.
I was really upset. I'm like, talk to the hand, right? I was doing my own brand of shunning at that point in time. But, feeling that energy of shunning, and through something that we value, like our religious beliefs. For me at that time, it was very important to me. And being cut out like that, then I was like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You can just say that because I wasn't baptized like you. I'm wrong. I'm done. It was horrible.
But look at back then, how you reacted back then, and where you are today, right? So
yeah.
It's like today it's different,
And she's changed too, to be fair. But it's just a practice in their church to shun.
The fact that this cutout thing is up on the table, it's definitely a collective thing that's going on right now.
Mm.
So that's definitely what's happening. And we're clearing it, like you said, Lynn, for the collective. We're clearing that, and we're releasing that and letting that go, and bringing unconditional love into that space instead. Unconditional acceptance, like accepting another person's choices, for whatever their choices are. Like you said, whether it's wrong or right, it doesn't matter. But like, can we not be clingy? And because when I look at this whole thing, I thought about this too. I thought, we're here for a certain time, and then there's no guarantee how long we're going to be together. There's really no guarantee. And at some point, we're going to part ways. So, what are our expectations? But really trusting and respecting the choices that people make. And this is, again, when I think about it, it's what Source would do. How many times have we cut God off? How many times have we cut ourselves off from God and said, I'm not doing this. I'm going to go over here and party.
You're not even real.
I don't want to have a relationship
you don't listen
with you.
To me. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yeah. Notice this, Susan talked with a client today about this same topic.
So it is out there.
So it's out there in the field. And then Susan put this wonderful quote here. Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that crushed it. Mark Twain.
That's wonderful. Yeah. It's a really, forgiveness is a wonderful practice. It's a wonderful tool to use, right? And, forgiveness is something that can assist you to shift into a higher vibration and release the burden so that your heart is healed, and that you can go on and release the energy, and that it's clean and it's pure.
Mm-hmm.
And yet again, at the same time, in the higher levels, in the dimensions and higher dimensions and higher levels, heaven on earth, there's nothing to forgive, because we realize that everything is already all
forgiven.
So it's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
the steps.
I'm just making sure we didn't miss anybody's comments that wanted to share.
What a topic. We were going to talk about so many different other things.
Well, I guess maybe this is the forerunner to self-realization, right?
Yeah.
One thing that came to my mind while you were talking is that the idea of I am and we are, right? There's this continuum. It's in your astrology chart, in your first house and your seventh house.
Yeah.
Through the signs of Aries and Libra, I am and we are, as a continuum, not separate, as a continuum.
Yeah.
That'll blow your mind for a while.
I am, we are. Yeah. I am, we are peace. I am, we are love. I am, we are harmony. I am, we are joy.
Mm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I am, we are. And that's the frequency that we want to emit. And when we're processing and releasing all those old stored emotions from these triggers, from these events that are happening, we're inhabiting the earth. We're taking it over, and we're taking it over from this higher place, from this higher path, living an organic life. And that's what we're bringing.
And loving it.
Yeah.
even the days that aren't so fun.
I know.
We got
Well,
triggered about
I think
something.
we just have to realize that, you know, walking with grief, walking in grief. We're walking in grief, whether it's, you know, a friend has cancer or something, or there's, you know, suffering going on or whatever, but just knowing that grief is part of what we're experiencing and healing as a collective. Right?
And it's not particularly bad. It's
just part of it.
It's just part of it.
It's just part of it. I wanted to tell you all that Janet and I are starting this new YouTube channel. And
we've started it.
We've started it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we have started it. So, and what we are doing is we are, pretty soon we're going to be going live on YouTube instead of going live on this, right? On this platform. We're going to go live on YouTube. And we would love it if you would go to our channel and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And that is at Ascension. What is it?
It's Ascension and Astrology.
Ascension and Astrology. And if you would like it, and if you would subscribe, because we want this channel to go viral, and we want this. My passion is Ascension, and this is what I signed up for, to really come forward now. And I want to make Ascension normal, to where like everyday people realize that, hey, it's really cool to ascend. Hey, it's really cool to use astrology as a tool to help me navigate the changes in my life. Hey, it's really cool to use astrology so that I can discover, you know, who I am and where my planets lie, and, you know, knowing what's up
what
ahead,
I'm designed to be,
what I'm designed to, and yeah. So I'm a lover of astrology. I'm a lover of Ascension. So that's why we created this channel, is to really help shift the paradigm for the greater people that are now awakening, and that they receive the information that we shared here today. And pretty soon we've got great ideas that we're going to bring on. We want to be able to invite the audience to move into challenges with us, where we're going to be giving you all challenges, and where we're going to be giving prizes and different things like that. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep, I'm excited about that aspect of it. So interact with us, subscribe to the YouTube channel, tell your friends. Share
this with your friends. So the way that it works on YouTube is like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. And if on the YouTube, if you could say, oh, this was a great show, or something like that, and send it over to somebody that you know,
is like-minded, maybe, or likes this kind of, maybe needs to hear this topic, that it just, you know, who knows. But we would appreciate that, and we will reward you for that. Beginning next week, we will have some more concrete information out about that. And I think we are done. I guess you guys saw the sun sort of on my face, right? It was reflecting off your computer screen over there. Well, tomorrow the sun goes away again and we get more snow.
Wow, we have so much snow here. It's freezing cold.
And 8 inches or so coming tomorrow, and tomorrow night and Saturday.
Yeah.
Unusual for us. And then another round on Tuesday.
I read in the local paper today that January has been the driest month of rain in here.
And then I would bet February is going to go down as the snow
in 19 years. In 19 years.
Wow.
It's been the driest month. So they can't say that it just Washington rains all the time.
Nope. But it was cold.
Definitely.
It was definitely cold. And tomorrow is going to be cold and snowy. So pray for us.
I just searched
on your YouBoob, and it's not there. It is too, Tom. It is too. Let me do a search. YouTube. Because maybe it's not under what I think it is.
It's Ascension and Astrology.
Oh, that's mine. Nice. So let me search here. Ascension. If you spell it right, it works. We found it the other day, didn't we?
Yeah.
And astrology. Feel off kilter here. Oh, yes, I ran into this too, Tom. So keep scrolling down. We need to see. This is why we need you guys, because we need you to come up. We need to bring us up.
Bring us up, exactly.
Because there's this person who does a lot apparently on there we are.
Yeah.
Like down 3 pages down, right?
Yeah.
Astrology, Ascension, and Donald Trump. I just can't believe those three words are used together in the same sentence. But we are definitely there. Let me click on this and see if I can give you, I don't want to. Yeah, they don't give you very much information about how to find it. But
the thing about it is that was this one last week?
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but where's the last week's video?
Well, it would be on the channel, and that's what we need to find.
Okay.
That's actually on.
Because last week was a fun show too. It was a super fun show.
There it is. Well, no, that's yours. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, so I don't blame you, Tom.
But just go scroll
We'll
scroll all the way down, and you're going to see it. We're in there, like third page down. It's there. We need to bring it up.
We need to bring it up.
That's the
so
goal.
You're going to help us bring it up. Please help us bring it up.
There you go.
Make us, stand out in the crowd. And it's Kornelia with a K, Tom. Kornelia. Did I just spell that right?
No, Kornelia.
Okay, so anyway, and I will find the link and post it for you. So that's it for us this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. I just can't even tell you how it fills my heart to be able to sit here with my friend Kornelia and share this kind of conversation with you. These are conversations that she and I have had for years, and it's just amazing to me to be able to do this, and you make that possible. Until next week, we will be here Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. East Coast time. But for those of you who are my Living Astrology listeners, I will be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Pacific, to talk about the astrology of tomorrow and the weekend.
Yay.
Debbie found it, she says. So awesome. I know it's out there. Anyway, take care, everybody.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Love to you all.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.